Wedding Buzz. This is your host, Sydney, and today I am joined by Angela, who is my assistant on wedding days, which I feel like you're more than an assistant. You're my
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. My co-planner. I hate saying like my assistant, but I guess that's what you are. Anyway, I thought it would be so fun to bring her on because we just did a wedding like 3 days ago, this past weekend, and I thought we could do a recap and do it while it's fresh in our heads. So Angela, hi. Thanks for coming. I feel like I'm always dragging you into different things. And now you're on the podcast.
I'm happy to be here.
Thanks. So this weekend we did a wedding at the Wanderers Club in Wellington, which was a really nice venue. What did you think of the venue?
The venue was very organized as far as like location of everything. Like everything was very tight knit. I've had venues where one thing was like way across the whole thing, and it just made everything a lot more complicated.
It definitely, like the ceremony, there's a fly, the ceremony, cocktail, and then reception space were all kind of in the same area, which made it easier for us. Right. And I think nice for the guests because they didn't have to travel. I also felt like that venue was very like rinse and repeat. Like they do
multiple weddings at a time.
Multiple weddings, just like every weekend. Events, yeah. They got it down. I was pleased with the venue. They also had the locker rooms. You went in the locker rooms, right?
Yeah, those were very nice. I was expecting like middle school locker rooms. No, they were very
I know nice. When you say locker room, but I guess it's because it's a golf club. Right. So people change in there and whatnot. But there were definitely like luxury. Did you go in the men's?
I saw a little peek of it, but the
obviously aesthetic. I didn't go too far deep, but it was like a lounge area when you first walked in, and then like the bathrooms and changing area was in the back. I obviously didn't go back there, but the whole it was a vibe, like with the pool table, the red walls.
Definitely a men's.
They had a full bar, like bartender and everything in there.
Really?
I was like, wow. The ladies did not have that.
Yeah. I mean, they had their own little makeup station and everything.
The ladies did have
toiletries. They even had all that like packed away in there, but
they had like toothbrushes and all the stuff. So that was really nice. Smelled good in the women's locker room. So anyway, I did like the venue, and we'll touch on it later, but the food that the venue had, I thought was pretty good, and different. So anyway, I guess we could just recap the day. We got there at 9:30 a.m. Bright and early. And as we were walking up, I see a box truck and a guy, and like, maybe it's because I was wearing all black and like had my binder and stuff, that he was looking at me like, do you know where I'm supposed to go? And I kind of, for a second, I was like, is this the DJ? Is this like a rental? Well, they didn't do rentals, but like the photo booth or like someone setting up. And he was like, I'm the bride's dad and I have all of the decor. And I was like, oh boy, like he's showing up in a box truck. So yeah, he pulled up to the front with his box truck, and her aunts and cousins and all like started unloading. I don't know. What did you think of all that stuff?
You know, honestly, when you told me that the family would be helping, they had a big family, I was not expecting it to be, you know, a huge help. Like I was expecting a little bit more like, you know, here and there, like this is what the bride wants, or like this is what, you know, what was talked about. But it was full force. It was full force.
It was, which like for a second it was slightly overwhelming because there were so many people asking us like, where do things go? And I was like, I don't know. She told me she was telling. I did know. We obviously talked about the plan, but I was expecting like, she said like my aunts, like I thought like two ladies would be there, but no, it was like a whole bunch of people, the whole family, which was so nice, honestly, like, cause they really let her and the groom like enjoy their day.
Right. And honestly, on top of that, they were all so like kind. They were very, you know,
they really
a fun time to be around.
They were really funny. I don't know if it was like her uncle or someone like was obsessed with you. They're like, Angie. That was so funny. But so I guess we can talk like, so they brought, which it was thank God there was a lot of people, because even with a lot of people, it took
a while.
They were there till what, like 11:30 they were there for like a couple hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the decor was pretty simple.
It was.
And it still took a long time and a lot of
Right.
people. She did like wood rounds with floating glass candles. I thought it was pretty. It was very simple, but pretty. And then, oh my gosh, I guess I haven't driven my car since that day. It was only a couple days ago. When I got in my car today, the juniper is still in my car. So the centerpieces had juniper and baby's breath, which smelled so good. And her mom was like, take it home. So it's in my car.
There was so much extra. Even the baby's breath, it was like juniper on the bottom with like the baby's breath, like little arrangement on top. And with the floating candles, it was all very pretty, but
It was pretty.
there was a lot extra.
There was a lot extra, and it smelled really good. And now my car smells like juniper.
Well, that's a good smell to have.
It is. It just was real strong when I first got in, but it does smell really good. So the venue provided the chairs, the chargers, which was nice. We didn't have to do that. I will say, like, some of the chargers were dirty or broken, and so I swapped those. But and then for the ceremony space, her dad brought this like arch that he was putting together. It was so cute seeing them all put things together. And then she had drapes and flowers, which was an experience trying to put that on the arch. You know, like when I made my emergency kit for like these weddings, I was like, am I ever going to use this stuff? And
You'd be surprised.
I've used so, like I had floral wire, some floral, I don't even know what it's called, but like tape. But at one point I was standing on a chair, and
It was a wobbly chair too.
it was a wobbly chair. And I was like, this is not safe.
I'm like holding on to it for dear life. Like, don't fall, don't fall.
Don't fall.
We don't need that today.
Yeah, I guess like no hate to the bride or her family, but I don't think people, until like you work a wedding and you see that side, understand like why the planning is so important, and like why the planning of all the little details, and like exactly where the decor is going to go, how it's going to be attached. Because, you know, we were definitely playing florist that day. I think it all came out pretty, but it was definitely a lot more of like decorating and hands-on than some other weddings. I don't know. What did you, I mean, I know you've worked other weddings too. Do you feel like you normally like well, you've also worked for someone who does florist, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I was more on the planning side, but I did see a lot of like the production of like the floral arrangements, and even like those big tall ones. I know those are, you know, a hassle to, you know, put together, move around, you know, get in the right position. But honestly, I would say it was pretty simple as far as like the arrangements, and you know, we made it so that the the giant arch that would, you know, hold the her florals that were going on the side. Like we managed to make it all work.
We did. It turned out well. So her family left around like 11. I also think if you're engaged, listening to the timeline of this might help you understand like what to expect on wedding day, which hair and makeup started at 8:30 at the bride's mom's house because they didn't have access to the locker rooms till 12:30. So, you know, hair and makeup was happening at 8:30, which is when her family was getting ready to bring all the items to the venue. Then they show up at 12:30, all the girls. The bridesmaids have like hair and makeup kind of done. The bride doesn't yet. And they go downstairs to the locker room, but they brought, her and I had talked about favors. And by the way, I was hired as day of coordinator for this wedding. So it's not like I planned for months and months. It was just like the last 4 weeks that I, you know, met this couple and kind of tried to tie the loose ends together. And so she brought these favors. or she was telling me that she had favors, but she didn't have enough because I guess the guest count went up. And so there was 18 kids at this wedding. It was a
little and big kids.
There was like babies, and then there was all age kids. There was a lot of kids, which honestly, they were pretty good. I didn't
hear them most of the night. I mean, occasional, but it wasn't like, ruins the whole thing.
The only thing that I did feel bad is I did see like a couple, like that one dad like left the reception to go sit on the couch outside. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, well, he doesn't get to party. But anyway, so there were like 18 kids, and I was like, okay, what if you did a different favor for the kids? And so I thought she was going to bring like, which I think her intentions were to bring like goodie bags. But when they came at 12:30, they brought all of the items that would go in a goodie bag, like crayons. What else was in? I mean, you looked at it more than me.
Crayons, ring pops. They actually had made these little coloring books for the wedding. Like they had like little scavenger hunts for, throughout the wedding, things that you can find, just fun things for the kids to do throughout the day. So they're not,
so they're not totally bored, or so at least the parents have something to give them. Well, anyway, I didn't know, we were looking at the stuff, like, what the heck do we do? And they kind of said, they're like, sorry, we didn't get time to put them together. If you can't put it out, like, then don't. But, she obviously spent a lot of time, like, looking at specialized, like, wedding themed coloring books or whatever. So good old Instacart. Thank God for Instacart.
I know, it was very helpful.
We Instacarted some white bags and ribbon. I never even talked to her about it. Like, I don't know if they noticed that we did that. But anyway, that was a new thing as well. I was like, I've never made goodie bags on the wedding day, but we made the goodie bags, set them out for everyone. And then the day just like goes by so
it does
fast. Like
a whole 14 hours is like,
because like the morning setting up kind of is, you're busy. And then we had like a little bit of downtime, but then I'd say the photographer got there at 2:30. They were supposed to do first touch at 3. I will say the hair and makeup done by time. There's a fly. If you're watching the video,
yeah, I see it every so often.
Like, there's a fly. I'm trying to think timeline. So what was supposed to happen is hair and makeup done by 2, bride getting in her dress, photographer get there at 3, get some detail shots. And then they wanted to do a first touch, which is really cute. It's like where you hold hands around a corner, but you don't see each other. Did you go downstairs at all? Like, when was the first time that you went to the locker room?
I would say when I went to go either get the bride for the ceremony to line everybody up, or that first time when we actually went down there to, just kind of take a look at everything, see where they would be doing their hair and makeup and everything, or where they had all their stuff in that other little room. So we did go up there a little bit, or down there a little bit.
Because I remember
before.
I went maybe like an hour before the photographer was supposed to get there. And they were doing the bride's hair and makeup. And I was like, okay, sounds good. Because I do remember I checked on her at least once before the photographer got there. And I had talked to the hair and makeup team about like the done by time. No hate on them. They did a great job. But they were not done on time, which, does cause a lot of stress before the wedding. Why does a fly want to go like...
He wants to speak.
I know. So anyway, the photographer gets there at like 2:30, and I go downstairs, and the bride's still getting hair and makeup done. And then I don't know what you were doing at this point.
I want to say I was putting together the floral arrangements, either that or working on ceremony, finding a spot for the character cartoon artist.
Yes. That was another thing kind of thrown in last minute, was they hired 2 caricature artists, and one of them called saying, this is just like, I feel like as a wedding planner and working in this business, like you can plan as much as you want, but you have to be ready for the, like, something's going to get thrown at you, something. And so the caricature artist, like the day before the wedding, calls and is like, I forgot my table and my light in North Carolina, and I'm going to need like 3 chairs and all this space. And so we were trying to find a good space for them. So that's also like, when people don't have a wedding planner, I don't even know what they do.
Right. I mean, even when the character cartoon people were coming in from the ceremony cocktail hour to the reception area, the corner that we had originally put them in, that, in the back corner by the kitchen, they had mentioned to me that they needed like extra outlets. And I went to go ask the venue if they had any cable strips, because the DJ was using the outlets.
Oh.
So, I mean, it did end up working out. Like, we got them their, outlets. But again, it's just another benefit of, having a coordinator, a planner, a floor plan. Like,
yeah, I didn't
those
even
are
know.
Good things to put in the timeline, in the floor plan, just, outlets. Because a lot of people, like the DJ, the photo booth, they do, like, need that extra stuff. And it's something that you, like, goes right over your head.
I actually have one of those. What are they called? Like strip lighting
command
things?
strips? No.
Like
strips.
Like a extension cord, but where there's like multiple outlets.
Yeah.
I have one of
know
those in my emergency kit.
Perfect.
I didn't even know that was happening. I feel like before ceremony, I ended up like downstairs kind of in the locker room with the bride and whatnot, because we were trying to do the first touch by 3. Hair and makeup was not done until like really close to 3:30. Mm-hmm. And then we had to do the first touch quickly without the groom seeing the bride. And ceremony was 4. And so the guests were arriving and we were like still trying to do all that downstairs. I do remember I went upstairs at one point right before we let the guests like go to the ceremony spot, and you had lit all the like the tea lights and the candles and stuff for the ceremony. And I was just like, oh, like, thank God. I'm so glad that you remembered to do that. Cause I was occupied.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like back to like, I mean, I was busy all day. You were busy all day, and we had another assistant too. We were busy pretty much all day. So
definitely need like all the help you can get on wedding days. And even like that blows my mind how people do it without a coordinator, without a planner. Like,
yeah, I mean, because even like they didn't hire a florist or rental company. So the family ended up having to do a lot more. Obviously we were there to help, but like they did a lot, but they helped set up in the morning. But even little details of like lighting the candles before they walk in the room, I guess the family would have to do that, but it's a lot to think about. And I feel like the wedding day would have been way more stressful for the couple if, we, not to toot our own horn, but like if we weren't there. So anyway, the hair and makeup did finish like right at like 3:25, which is like an hour and 20 minutes late. We did the first touch real quick, and I was like, all right, like good to go. I'm going to go check on the guests and get them all seated. And I had you in the locker room with the bride ready to go. And then you called me and you're like, do you have time to go? How did she even, like, what was happening?
So I had gone down and asked her, like, how do you feel? How are you? Like, is there anything that you need from me before ceremony starts? Like before we need to, go up there and get everything, moving along. And she had said to me, I think a bird pooped on my dress. And I saw them, rummaging for like a Tide to Go stick or anything that, might get the little stain out. Honestly, it wasn't that big. It was very, very minimal. But normally I do have my Tide to Go stick just ready to go in my bag. But I, of course, the one day I don't bring it, I, need it. But I had called you. I'm like, so do you have Tide to Go in your bag? I mean,
and I was like, it is like go time. The guests are there.
Right.
And when you were like, do you have Tide to Go? I was like, yeah, like, why? Like, who needs it? Like,
Miss Bride.
Like, maybe this is not nice, but I was kind of thinking like, can this wait till like after the ceremony? Cause then cocktail hour, we would have time. And you're like, the bride has bird poop on her dress. I was like, no, like there's no way. But anyway, thank God I had some Tide to Go
Again,
And
it was very minimal. So
it was minimal, but it's like, she was so cool.
She was
so chill. I feel
is there any chance you might have some time to go?
yeah, like, by the way, possibly not to bother. But I didn't want her to like feel, I don't know, like she was walking down the ceremony like dirty. Like I was glad that we could
fix it,
at least get most of it out. I wonder if a bird like actually pooped on her dress.
I was wondering the same thing.
Or if it like got dragged over like fresh bird poop.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, a lot of possibilities for sure. It could have been, just dirt from, I don't know, maybe someone accidentally stepped on it.
Maybe, but it was like kind of high up.
Right.
I don't know. Anyway.
Whatever it was,
we got her down the aisle. That was great. I mean, she was happy. Ceremony was quick. It bought us a little bit of time because it was only like 20 minutes. They did the private moment at the beginning of cocktail hour. What did you think about it?
Cocktail hour?
Just like, did you see the bride and groom go to the, like, what they called the library to have like a private moment right at the beginning of cocktail hour?
I did not actually. I was helping the photographer, kind of get everybody for those family pictures and moving the chairs out of the way. The venue, they were, busy with the bar and everything. So they didn't have, I guess maybe someone to pick up those extra chairs. So, I was helping the photographer do that. They had two photographers. So, we were doing that a lot of the time. It is hard to get the family, in their designated areas for the pictures.
So with the venue, I do like to do like a private moment for the bride and groom, but I typically do it like the last 15 minutes of cocktail hour so that when they're done with their photos, they have time to like sit, get refreshed, eat a little something, and just relax before the ceremony. They have a few minutes. And so this venue wanted them to do that at the very beginning of cocktail hour. Mm-hmm. And honestly, like as the planner, it's always up to the bride, but like I would fight against that in the future after doing it that way, because the bridesmaids, the family all went with them. There was private for a moment, but then the bride was like, where's my family? So I like brought the family over to them. But then the photographer was like, we need to do family photos, which we did. It was like, they had scheduled like 15 minutes of private, which goes by so fast. Then it was time for family photos. And I was like, okay, everybody meet the photographer back out on the patio for photos. And they're like slowly going. Mm-hmm. And I was like, now like, pick up the pace. Let's go. And then I know that you were trying to help the photographer wrangle, which, I mean, there were two photographers. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. My personal opinion is it's a photographer's job to get people where they need to go.
Yeah. She
had a list of the family members before the wedding. I know you were trying to help her. I know that wasn't overly successful, but
it never is. I mean, the family, they want to have their time, but
yeah, and they don't understand like that the timeline. I mean, I gave them the timeline at the rehearsal. I printed it out and gave it to them the night before, but they don't understand like why literally like every minute counts. Like we are on go time,
especially with, the hair and makeup running behind, like that, definitely plays a role in the timeline of the day.
Yeah, it does. And because like, yes, we did going back to right before ceremony, we did the first touch, but like it was go outside, do your first touch, go inside, get the bird poop off your dress, and you're walking down the aisle, which, I would have liked that first touch to be at least like 45 minutes before the ceremony. So she has time to like sit and relax and just, I don't like the rush and whatnot for the brides. She was pretty cool about everything. And it worked out, but I was definitely like uncomfy.
On edge, yeah.
I was like standing in the corner of the room while like watching them finish hair and makeup. I was like, okay, let's go. Looks beautiful. Let's go. So anyway, cocktail hour, they do family photos. They do wedding party photos. It was a lot, but they probably finished that by, let's see, 4:20 was end of ceremony. they had the private moment probably till like 4:35, 4:40. Family and wedding party probably took till about like 5:10, and then, or maybe 5:15. It was like a good half hour of that. Then they were doing Mr. and Mrs. And then the photographer texted me like, hey, do we have a golf cart for photos? And I was like, yeah, we can get one. So the venue was great and quickly like getting some golf carts ready. They left on the golf cart at 5:40 and reception was supposed to start at 6. And they had already done at least 20 minutes or so of just Mr. and Mrs. photos, which I get it. Like that's the most important photos of the day. But at 6, we let the guests in the reception because they're getting antsy and the venue's like, okay, we're ready. I was not even the one to open the doors to the guests. I know I saw like one person just let themselves in. They were like, we're finding our seats. Yeah. And then were you there?
I was. I had actually opened the doors because I believe it was the grandmother of the bride that had, wanted to come in and see the room.
Yeah.
She had a little bit of trouble walking. So, she wanted to, sit down, and there wasn't much room to sit down at a cocktail hour. Yeah. I don't think so. Obviously we're going to let her in. And, I want to say,
I know that the venue did ask, like, are you ready? And I said, yeah. I said, if you need to let them in, let them in. Like, I wasn't like, oh no, the guests are in. I was literally like pacing the outside of the building. Like, where are the bride and groom? I was asking the valet guy. I was like, where's the bride and groom? Which I guess earlier in the day I had asked them if he had seen you. I think when we were meeting like for the Instacart, and I had asked him earlier and he was like, oh yeah, she said she quits. She walked out. I was like, what? And he was obviously messing with me. Right. But then later I went back out and he was like, did she quit now? I was like, no, not my assistant, like the bride and groom.
As a wedding planner, I don't even know like the thought process going through your mind. It's probably like, what?
I was just like, don't tell me this. But yeah, so the guests went into the reception space right at like 6 when they were supposed to. The bride and groom didn't come back till 6:15. And I was calling the photographer. I called her like at least 2 or 3 times and, voicemail. And so I was like, well, there's nothing really I can do right now. I mean, they're on golf carts. I can't walk the entire golf course. Like,
right.
So they came back, but then the poor bride, her feet were killing her. She was sweaty. She was like, I need deodorant. And so she needed like at least 5 minutes of like, let me get refreshed before we do this grand entrance, which is why I like to do that private moment kind of at the end. Cause after photos are not fun. Like it's a lot.
Especially outside in Florida heat.
And even though it's a March wedding, like it is hot, even today. Mm-hmm. Even today I got in my car, I was like, I'm sweating. Like it is hot. So anyway, they came back at 6:15. I was not happy about that at all, but it is what it is. There's nothing much you can do. So the entrance was supposed to be at like 6:05, 6:10. They got back 6:15. By the time the bride like got her deodorant, got refreshed, we got the wedding party lined up and whatnot, I don't think the entrance was till like 6:25 or so. And dinner was supposed to be 6:20. Mm-hmm. So then they did the entrance. Then they did their first dance right away, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Right when they got in the room.
First dance. The dad did a toast. Thank God his toast was like short. Yeah. I mean, I love a good father of the bride speech. I think they're so cute, but just because of timeline, I was like, thank God it was short.
Right.
And then this was something that in theory sounded like a good idea. That like we'll take a picture with each table and then release them to the food stations. Cause it was food stations, which was cool. And it wasn't just like one buffet. It was like, it was 4 stations.
3 plus the sundae? 3.
No, 4. It was
4.
Mashed potato bar.
Oh, you're right.
Sweet potato and regular potato. Sushi bar. Salad bar. And then I never went to the fourth station. I saw at their tasting. Did you go to the fourth station?
I did not.
I know that they had like chefs. It was like a stir fry and a pasta, I think. They had like steak and shrimp. I don't know. It sounded like it was a hit. It looked good. As a vendor, I was not going to go wait in line like for them to cook that much food. But it was definitely a hit. But I think dinner also took longer than normal because people were like, oh, what station do I go to? Do I go to all 4 stations, or do I get a plate, sit down, and then go back up to the stations?
And I think another thing that the DJ didn't exactly mention was that they were open for 2 hours.
Yeah. The station stayed open for 2 hours. That would have been
something good to know.
That would have been a good point to tell everybody, like, hey, you can go as many times as you want.
Right. So it, speeds it up a little bit and hopefully like gets those lines, not as long, and they know they can come back rather than just a one and done thing.
Yeah. And the problem with like, let's take a picture with each table and then they'll be released was just that in theory, it sounds good, but she had 15 tables, which also was not I found out it was 15 tables. Like that was a last minute change. That was more than I was expecting it to be. But, I knew the guest count. It wasn't like drastically. I just thought we were doing 13 tables of 10. Mm-hmm. And it was 15 tables of mixed match. So I guess it really wasn't that, 13 versus 15 isn't that different.
Yeah.
But everyone wanted to chit chat and hug her and this and that. So it just took kind of forever. Yeah. Thankfully the stations were open. So if anyone was like, wanting more food, they could go. But yeah, it's crazy how it's just 15 minutes late that the photographer, they really came back like 25 minutes late though. Cause I thought they left at 5:40. I thought that they'd be back by like 5. I thought they were going for like 10 minutes, like just snap a couple, maybe 15 minutes. I didn't think they would be gone for that long.
Right. Especially when, they did have the timeline about when the reception started too. So
yeah.
And they knew when we would open the doors, when we would let everybody in. So
yeah, no, they definitely knew. We definitely talked about it before. But anyway, oh well. The rest of the night, it went fine. It didn't go exactly according to timeline, but it ended up totally fine. They did parent dances, mother-son dance, father-daughter. Then they did the cake cutting, which they did cupcakes, which was cute.
Yes. So many cupcakes.
Oh, that was really annoying though.
So many cupcakes.
Like, not the bride's fault at all, but like they had this stand and I started putting cupcakes on the stand. And after I got, I don't even know, maybe to like 30 cupcakes, I had cupcake all over my hand, and like a few other vendors were like asking me questions. Like, can you come look at this? And can you come look at this? And I was like, I know I looked at you. I was like,
finish this.
Fix the cupcakes. I was like, I can't.
I was like, okay, I'm happy to do that. But it was their stand. It was something that was homemade. You had mentioned, right?
A friend made it.
Yeah. And it was like multi-layer, like wooden stand that had like on the sides their names, Olivia and Jacob. And like, I thought that was something so cool. They had their little cake on top.
It was so cute.
It was.
Yeah. So they had a like small personal cake on the top, which is what they did as their cake cutting. And then they took that home to save. But then everyone else could just grab a cupcake, which was nice because like it avoids the venue having to like slice and serve and all that. Like the cupcakes were just already out. So that was nice. Did you try one?
I did not. I did not, but I heard they were so good. I heard they were very yummy, but there were a lot extra. Like they had probably at least like 2, maybe 1.5 full boxes left of these.
Because there was so much of food.
I know.
And they had an ice cream station.
Right.
Which had cookies on it too. There was so much food, like so much food. But I think the guests were happy about that. Yeah, but the cupcakes, they were cute. Oh man, putting them on the stand, I was like, I don't have patience for this. Like, I think if nobody was asking me questions, like, can you come look at this? Can you come look at that? Like someone went to shake my hand. I was like, I have a cupcake on my hand. So anyway, so then after they played the shoe game, I thought that was cute.
It was very cute. Very cute.
Earlier in the night, she had these like sparkly Vans. They were so cute.
They even said little wifey on
the back. And I put them on her because like in a wedding dress,
it's difficult. Yeah.
I think you helped me, didn't you? You did one foot, I did the other, or maybe Vanessa did.
Maybe.
I don't know. Anyway, the laces were really long. And so I was like, I did not need her tripping. So I like double knotted them real tight. And then when we went to do the shoe game, we could not get her shoes off. And I like yanked it off. I felt so bad, but I think there's a video of me like like the entire wedding, like all 130 people were just watching me like struggle to get her shoe off and then yanking it off. It was,
at least at that point, she's just like, rip it off. Take it off.
she was like, just do it. Just do it. I was like, all right. The shoe game, if you guys don't know, is where like the bride holds one of her shoes and one of his shoes. He holds one of her shoes, one of his shoes. And someone asks them questions like, who said I love you first? And if it's like the groom did, then you raise like his shoe, but they're sitting back to back, so they can't see what their answers are. So it's always funny to see like, do they say the same thing or do they disagree? And
even the one, the DJ had asked, who's the better driver? And it was kind of like, and then she held hers up. And he was like, kind of like inching at it too. Like, do I say hers or do I say mine? Like, I just think those are so funny.
But then at the I don't know if you heard, at the very end, they did like a grand exit where everybody like ran out, and they had her dad's really cool car, an Aston Martin, that they drove away in. And someone yelled, I thought she was the better driver.
That was very funny. Very funny. Everybody laughed, but
it was so funny. I actually, I know we got to wrap up here, but after the shoe game, everyone just danced, party. They had like the fun glow sticks.
Yeah.
There's a super cute picture of you handing them
out to this one little girl.
This one little girl.
She was very cute.
So cute. It's just those little details of like, what does a wedding planner do? Like everything.
Yeah.
Everything. We're all over the place. Even my mom has asked me like, do you need assistance on the wedding day? I'm like, yes. Like I mean, even with the assistants, like, I feel like I'm all over the place. I'm sure that you feel like you're all over the place. Like, there's a lot that goes on wedding day. I mean, it's very time crunch. It's like now or never. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people. So, but yeah, everyone after the shoe game just like danced. I thought the DJ was pretty good.
It was, yeah. A lot of people were liking their songs. I even had this song that was stuck in my head, and he had played it. It was stuck in my head for like, I don't know, 3 days before that. And I was like, oh my God, like it's like an older song. So I was like, I'm never going to hear this song. It's out of my head now. Like I'm good. But no, he played it. So I was
played it. I felt like he did play a good mix of like oldies, new, like
he did good. Yeah.
Oldies but goodies. Like I liked the DJ. I would use him again. And he was very nice to work with.
Yeah. It's definitely, hard to kind of get everybody, there is a wide variety of like people that do attend the weddings. So I'm sure it's difficult to.
Yeah, no, I liked him. It was Kenny Mondo Productions. I'll give him a little shout out. But he was good. The photo booth, it was the photo boys. Everyone seemed to have fun. It was like a whole professional like photo setup with I don't know, they like printed it out right then and there, right?
Yeah. And they even had like this big screen of like all the pictures. They went through like a little slideshow of all the pictures, and it was so cute. Like literally the whole room could see them. Yeah. So it wasn't just like, oh, you never see the pictures, but
yeah, it was super cute. And the guy was really nice. The attendant working. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a great wedding. And then at the end, for the grand exit, we found these like I guess it was like, is that what you would call it? Like a wand with like ribbon?
Essentially like a sparkler with no flame.
It was basically, like a sparkler with no flame, no fire. I have had drunk people think that the sparklers are swords and try to stab each other with fire. And I don't like that. So
Definitely a hazard.
Definitely a hazard. It looks pretty, but I think that I'm sure that this looked pretty in the pictures too, because it was like a wand with like white ribbon hanging down, and it had like little fairy lights in it, and it had little bells on it too. Mm-hmm. And the little fairy light like blinked. And so I think I'm sure the pictures will turn out really cute, but everyone seemed to have fun waving their wands. The kids were excited to keep the little wands. Yeah. They ran through and then went off in the car. And yeah, it was really a great day. I'm trying to think other big points. I know we got to wrap up here, but do you have any other thoughts on the day?
Nothing too crazy. I mean, it really, like, more and more each wedding that I do, it just stands out to me how like much a wedding planner or coordinator is necessary for the day.
I think like I agree. And obviously I am a wedding planner, right. So I'm going to say that. But if you have to have someone in charge and you don't want it to be the bride or groom, you actually want to enjoy the day. You don't want it to be the siblings or the mom or the family, because you want them to enjoy the day. Right. And not that I don't enjoy the day, but it is work, you know. Exactly. It's like running around, and there were times where I was like a sweaty mess and, you know, like I had a bruise on my knee the next morning. I was like, ow, because things happen, and I like get on my knees and like, look under the table or this or that. Like, and I'm not trying to complain. I love what I do, but it's just, you need someone who's not in like wedding guest enjoy the day mode. You need someone who's like focused. And so if you can assign a family member to be like on top of everything, but they're not going to enjoy the wedding as a guest, like they're not you can't efficiently be like in charge of everything and partying at the same time. It's just not going to happen. Yeah,
I completely agree.
Yeah. And there's a lot behind the scenes that, I mean, every wedding I do, people are like, oh, I never thought of that. And I'm like, yeah.
That's our job.
That's our job. There's a lot. So anyway, I guess if you need a planner, give me a call. No, I don't mean to like toot my own horn. It's not just me. There's plenty of amazing planners. It's just, I feel like the planner is a cost that some people are like, oh, there's no way I'm doing it without. But then some people are like, why do you need a planner? Like, we can just do it. And you know, the actual planning of the wedding, calling vendors, scheduling. Yeah, I can see you can do that yourself, of course, but at least the day of, which is really a month of, you need more time, but at least that, because I don't know how else.
All the little details that you see that, you know, nobody really thinks of, like, one thing ends up going wrong, and it's like everybody's, you know, if you didn't have a planner, you know, you don't know who would be in charge of, you know, doing that stuff. Yeah, exactly. Who to go to, you know. Yeah. I mean, even some of the guests come up to us asking certain things. So like, I don't know who they'd go to, but, anyway, thanks for helping me with the wedding and being my right hand. I could not do it without you. But thanks for joining me today. This was fun to do a little recap. Yeah. It was a good day. Of course there's chaotic moments, but it was a great day. Yeah, I love to see it all come together.
I don't think the bride knew of any really of the chaotic moments, which is the goal. Right. And all that really matters is,
she had a good day.
She seemed happy all day. So even when they were running like a little late, I don't know if she knew, or
that's not a thought in their head.
She was just happy. So yeah, it was all good. Well, anyway, maybe we'll keep doing these recaps, and hopefully if you're planning a wedding, you'll learn something from these recaps. And yeah, anyway, well, thanks for being here.
Yes. Thank you for having me here.